Hello, this is author Nancy Flinchbaugh. Today I'm very happy to be interviewing Jean Bloom, who is the Audible narrator of my book, Revelation at the Labyrinth. Jean is an avid reader and narrator from Canada who performs in audiobooks, podcasts, audio dramas, animations, and video games. And I'm so glad that she found time to narrate my book, Revelation at the Labyrinth. Well, welcome, Jean Bloom. It's good to see you today. And
You
thank you
too,
for
Nancy.
taking a few minutes. Thanks for taking a few minutes to talk with me and chat about your recent reading of my book, Revelation at the Labyrinth. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. Happy to be here. Really nice to see you again.
yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself for those who didn't listen to our other interview and how
Uh,
you started to or decided to narrate audiobooks.
Absolutely. My name's Jean. I've worked in healthcare for a decade now. And I actually got into voice recording because I purchased all this equipment for my partner, who has this lovely Parisian accent. So I was trying to force him into narration, actually. Bought all the equipment, started learning about the process, recording, editing, auditioning. He never got into it. So over COVID, I figured, well, maybe I should dust off the equipment and give it a try.
Well, we're glad you're here. So you spent quite a few hours reading Revelation at the Labyrinth. So I wanted to ask you first, what did you enjoy about this book?
Yeah, I think your books are a great combination of many different topics. So Revelation at the Labyrinth, combines spirituality, combines the earth, combines hard-hitting topics like cancer, domestic abuse, drug and alcohol addiction. And all of these topics are so important today. And just personally, I really enjoy learning about spirituality, both the Eastern and the Western sides. And you manage to combine both of those with the labyrinth and about chakras and meditation and prayer. So I thought that was so interesting. And like most people, my knowledge of labyrinths was quite small. I'd seen the David Bowie movie. I thought they were just kind of complicated mazes. I had no idea about the rich history of them being used in medieval churches. That was all completely new to me. It was so interesting to learn about. And I can imagine the practice of walking through one to be very fulfilling. And it was a romance book. Thomasina's romance, that long, slow yearning, was so fun to read. So really the whole book just scratched, every itch for me.
Well, thank you. Yeah, labyrinths are one of those things, and some people have a negative image of them, but
Mm-hmm.
they were in the medieval churches, and they've been coming alive again today. And I I really enjoy. We have one at my church, and
Mm-hmm.
so the Living Vine Labyrinth at my church was kind of the background for my labyrinth in my book. So I'm glad you enjoyed that. And I know I do have a
That's very interesting.
lot of topics in there. I tried to weave them together in a way that made sense because I do want to write about things that are important
Yeah.
today. What was most challenging in doing the voices and narrating this book, would you say?
I don't typically do a lot of voices in my narration, but I do find that the characters of the book club are all very unique. They have very strong personalities, and it felt right to want to capture them as different voices. So I hope I was able to capture their personalities with some different voices, but that was definitely difficult for me.
Yeah, they are a diverse group of people, but I know it's
Hmm.
tricky to, I think you did a good job with that, with the
Thank
names.
you.
Who do you think might enjoy reading this book?
So, one of my favorite things about your work in general is that your female characters are very real. They're feminine, they're strong at the same time. Their femininity and softness don't detract from their internal and external strength. They find strength in their beliefs, in their community, in their relationships with each other, with men, with themselves. They all feel very real and genuine. They're not perfect. They have weaknesses, but they're not like defined by those weaknesses. They're always willing to work to improve themselves, their livelihood, their like world that they live in. So I think everyone could enjoy your books, but I think for anyone who is really like a girl's girl, they'll appreciate the women in these books and how they support each other for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I guess they really care about what's going on in the world and they're trying to do
Mhm.
something about it. So I think most of us are like that these days. I think we're concerned about issues and trying to figure out what's mine to do. I ask myself that
Mhm.
question every day. So the ma'ams are trying to do that too. So thanks for putting.
Absolutely. And they never feel like their success ever has to come at the expense of another woman. They're very supportive of each other and want to change their lives and the world around them. They're lovely.
That's nice. So I like to say I wrote this book for the earth. When I started becoming aware of our problem with climate change, one thing I thought I could do was to incorporate that into my writing. So I just wondered what messages you read in the book about climate change and caring for the earth.
Yeah. So I think you have a very strong message through the book that is that everyone can make a difference in some way in caring for the earth. And that might look like different things. Maybe it's sourcing food that is local and organic. Maybe it's growing your own food. Maybe it's just appreciating and connecting to nature more, being more aware of that. Maybe it's holding big fossil fuel companies responsible for their hand in damaging the earth. Overall, I think there's a strong message of accountability, responsibility, and appreciation, for the earth that's very strong, very present, but not preachy.
Thank you. I'm glad I accomplished that. And I'm just hoping that the readers and listeners of this book will feel
Mm,
motivated to get involved, and speaking up for the earth and taking
absolutely.
steps towards change. Now, in the story, many people are trying to recover from drug and alcohol addiction. And I think most of us know somebody who's struggled with addiction. And I just wondered how you think this book might help people that are in recovery and working on that in their lives.
Absolutely. And I think drug addiction, especially, is becoming more and more rampant and common. And the characters, sorry, in this book that go through that, they sometimes have setbacks in trying to move forward and trying to recover from their addictions. And they still, like, even with the setbacks, they never give up. They're always treated with compassion and understanding by everyone, whether they're at the very beginning of their journey, whether they've just had a setback. They're treated like valuable human beings, regardless, who just need a little bit of extra help and support. I think the book would be an excellent read for anybody who is personally struggling or loves somebody who's struggling or just wants to support someone going through the cycle of addiction and abuse. It really showed how different triggers and cravings and habits can be changed through self reflection, empowerment, and addressing the core reason somebody is going through the cycle.
Well, thank you. I hope it's a positive message. I think it is. I
Mm-hmm.
based it a little bit on a group home here in Springfield, Safe Harbor House. It's helping women in recovery. And I just know how hard it is and how there are a lot of setbacks for people trying to overcome addictions. But so
Yeah.
important to have a supportive community. And so, I mean, that's what I tried to write into the book, but I also hope all of us will be a supportive community for people in recovery.
I think you showed many different ways that a supportive community can impact somebody's recovery, make them feel less alone, give them a reason to view themselves as valuable beings as well.
Yeah. So that would be great for people. I hope it will help people that are overcoming those addictions to be encouraged. Also, part of, as you mentioned earlier, part of the story was about cancer and Molly, the ma'am that gets breast cancer. And so, do you think this book would be helpful to somebody who's in a struggle with cancer or supporting a loved one who's, is facing cancer surgery and treatment?
Absolutely. Breast cancer alone affects, I think it's 1 in 8 women. So it's wide reaching cancer. And it's an isolating, terrifying experience. And despite all the awareness of it, I don't find that there's a lot of fiction that exists where a character is undergoing treatment, where that isn't the primary plot point. It's not like cancer is a normal part of our life, modern life. And rarely we see stories from the perspective of a cancer patient. I think the book really captured the entire spectrum. There's denial, there's fear, there's depression, there's acceptance and hope. I think it would be very valuable for validating somebody's fears and not just feeling like they have to be a positive fighter all the time, that sometimes it is just hard work existing as a cancer patient while you're being radiated and poisoned by chemo, while still maintaining that hope that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I think it was, both validating and I think it would be very hopeful for a cancer patient.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it really did just hit Molly as she was embarking on this
Mm-hmm.
project with the MAMS. And so that was very
Absolutely.
frustrating. But it does often come in the midst of our lives, not when we want it or need it, have
Exactly. Yeah, you
time to
can't
even feel
schedule
it.
it in for sure.
Yeah. Another theme in the book, as you mentioned earlier, is domestic violence. Do you think this would be helpful to somebody struggling with domestic violence?
Absolutely. I think very similar to addiction, there's a cycle of abuse with domestic abuse. And it's very hard to leave that cycle, especially because of how isolating it is and how ashamed people can feel who are stuck in that cycle. So, very similar to drugs and alcohol, I think this book showed how important having a support system is and that it transcends your station in life. There's people in the book facing domestic abuse who are in jail, who are suffering other like addictions. And there's very successful people facing domestic abuse. It's complex, it's insidious, it could be financial, verbal, physical. And I think this book really shows that it's not your fault if you're a victim of this. And I think somebody struggling might find a sense of solidarity with some of these characters.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. And it is, as you mentioned, too present in many people's lives these days. So I think they need characters they can identify with and help them realize there are ways and there's a path out of that cycle.
Absolutely.
So it's been great talking to you today. I know you're involved in a lot of different projects. What are you currently working on in terms of voice projects?
I'm working on a book that's pretty new right now. It doesn't have a name yet. It's an action adventure fantasy novel with aspects of romance too. It doesn't have a name yet, but I'm pretty excited to be working on it.
You're actually writing a book now, huh?
Oh, not writing. I'm not not talented in that regard. Just
You're,
voice
you're
acting in it.
oh, okay. Okay. Well, it's been nice to talk to you today, and thank you for being the narrator for Revelation at the Labyrinth. And we
Oh,
hope the listeners will check it out and get acquainted with the MAMs and their book club and the new
absolutely.
characters in the book that are dealing with climate change and cancer and domestic violence and trying to find a hopeful path into the future, as I hope we all can find together.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Nancy, for having me today.
Okay, have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Revelation at the Labyrinth is now available on Audible, narrated by Jean Bloom, written by Nancy Flinchbaugh. You can find links to purchase this Audible book on Amazon at the link provided and also on my website at nancyflinchbaugh.com. Find out more information about me and my books on my websites and social media accounts. Thanks for listening and have a great day.